So first of all, Srijan, thank you so much for joining us. For everyone, Srijan is one of our rock stars. I had a chance to serve him 5 years ago, 5 years ago. And Srijan was somebody who changed the entire calibration for me as well. He had a lower Gmat score as compared to some of the schools that he's targeting, and he cracked the #1 school in Canada, right? And I have a lot of questions for you, Srijan. So I tell you what, based on how we see applicants and based on how we look at the profiles and the GMAT scores and the entire story, I also remember that I initially, for a bit, showed resistance and I said, this will be a tough school, Srijan. And you said, Jatin, all right, I'll do whatever it takes. And whatever you tell me, I'll do 5 times. You know what? You rigorously followed everything.
Right.
Srijan, give us the secret sauce. Give us the recipe that people would really, really learn from.
Sure. Jatin, first of all, thank you so much for having me as a part of this series today. I really took my application process very seriously. I, for my own sake, really had to know why I wanted to go to B school. What was I going to get out of it? Is it going to be worth the investment? And what is this transformative experience that everyone keeps talking about, right? So I wanted to have a good understanding of what success would look like post MBA. So I spent a lot of time reflecting on these questions that you had thrown at me back then. Why MBA? Why now? Why this particular school? What are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? How do you think this particular MBA is going to help bridge that gap in between your short-term goals and long-term goals? So at one point, and once I found the right reason for myself, I felt that it added to the drive to actually get there, right? I even played devil's advocate to check if there was a path to my goal without an MBA, and what would that look like, right? So it took a lot of soul searching, and what I think helped me a lot was me being very deliberate about it. That I'm going to deliberately sit down and do this every day. So you once told me, I still remember, you once told me when I was getting stuck with my answers with my essays, you told me declare success, right? You don't need an MBA to be successful. You are already successful. And that stuck with me. It almost changed the way I approached the situations and the stories that I was going to speak of. So it also helped me during my MBA, right? So I didn't have to start from scratch. So that was awesome.
Wow.
It was great doing that. Yeah.
Actually, I want to add to this. A lot of people who are applying to Ivy Leagues and top schools and other schools and top schools in various different countries. And it's very, very logical. When they're stuck, when they are dealing with the basic time management, discipline, pulling themselves out to talk to maybe 15 people when you're in the networking stages. And I say, you know what, just imagine that you graduated from that school. How would that person behave? How would that person do a lot of these things that you're currently doing in the process? And he will say,
Right.
that person will know his schedule very right. That person would know what to do, when to do. And I said, you know what? That's one thing that top school is not going to teach you.
Correct. That discipline, that integrity, it has to come from within. That drive has to come from within.
And I'm so glad to hear when people say that it helped them even during their MBA process. See, when I went to Darden, Srijan, I was confused before I went to Darden. And by the way, I'm glad I went to a 2-year MBA program because I could experiment. I was not like you. I had to really, really work across try different industries, functions, try out, experiment a lot in order to finally get to wherever I wanted to be. But how did you manage to? So you moved to marketing career. I saw that you've changed your career, and you again did that with a 1-year MBA program. You're a product manager now. Can you help us understand what kind of heavy lifting you had to do, and how is it a 10-month program, Srijan, calendar?
It's 11-month program. Yes. So February to March.
Yes. So
February to February. Yeah.
How did you change your complete function within 11 months and move to marketing, despite the fact that you didn't have a marketing background?
Right. So that's a really good question, Jatin. I did know that there was a path to becoming a product manager without an Ivy MBA, given my tech background, right? So there was some transferable skill set around execution that I would carry into that role of being a product manager. So this finding out those stories and putting the stories right really helped me at that time. But in addition to that, what I was really looking for in an MBA was a toolkit and a network that would help me unlock some doors sooner rather than later, right? So I had built an understanding of what a product manager does, and I had to be very honest with myself and be self-aware of what I do and what I do not have in my arsenal, right? So product management is a very customer-centric role. It requires me to be a problem solver, a storyteller, a market analyst who can detect trends and come up with new solutions, right? Empathize with the customer while building solutions that continuously help our users, right? So Ivy, as you know, is a general management program and is one of the few case-based schools in the world. And the program really taught me to ask the right questions to gain insights from my customers, right? The program helped me uh, think critically and evaluate an existing strategy while keeping the big picture in mind, right? Um, Courses around leadership, organization behavior, B2B and B2C market research and development, um, statistical analysis, which I use a lot even now, financial modeling, negotiations. All of these helped me grow the core skills that were required to become a product manager, right? So over the past 5 years now, as a product manager, I've found myself reaching into those experiences and drawing upon them, and that has really helped me. So there would be people who would say that you don't need an MBA to become a product manager,
Oh, I would
but an
disagree.
MBA adds so much value. It might not teach you a few things like creativity and intuition, which but there are lots of other takeaways
Oh, I agree.
that would really help.
I 100% agree. And Srijan, tell me one thing. When you said that you made a transition to product management, now there are a lot of applicants who apply to these one-year MBA programs or places like Richard Ivey or INSEAD or other one-year MBA programs. Specifically talking from the perspective of Richard Ivey, how much do you think a person should know ahead of time in terms of what they want from an MBA? Like, is Ivey also a place for people who are confused and not sure and maybe walk into it thinking that I will theoretically now learn what an MBA does for me? What do you think is that meter that you think people should have? How much should they be self-aware?
Right. Very interesting question. I think people who go into a 1 year program uh, need to have done their homework more than others, right? There aren't a lot of 1 year MBA programs around. There are lots of 2 year MBA programs, so your choices are limited and the competition is high. So if you really can do that pre-work, because and understand what you want out of an MBA. Your goals need to be clearer than most other people. You need to do a lot of pre-work to understand networking concepts. Because I joined Ivy in February of 2015. August of 2015, there was campus recruitment happening. So we hardly had 5 months or 6 months to learn. So there is a lot of pre-work that needs to be done. Um, so I would really I really think people with at least 6 to 8 years of work experience, people who understand that they need to read through 5 to 6 cases daily, and each case is going to be like 10 to 15 pages long, right? And answering those questions so that you don't become clueless in the class and you can't contribute in the class. So having that understanding and having that focus for 1 year that this is going to be a 1 year marathon, right? It can't be a sprint. Really helps. So I think if when you think about your career goals and if you're thinking that, hey, I want to be an investment banker, and on the other hand I would like to work for a nonprofit, uh, it doesn't a 1 year program, and Ivy can help, but You'll have to figure out a lot of things by yourself. There are always exceptions, but it is tough. It is tough if you don't have that clarity in those. You need to have a plan A and a plan B. Your plan A needs to be 80% fleshed out. Plan B, you at least know how you're going to transition into it. So have your goals clear if you're looking for a 1 year program.
And how was the transition in terms of how supportive is the Ivy network in Canada, Srijan? So you went to one of the top programs of the country. Like, you're there in Canada, and it's the topmost program in that country. Now, does it give you a lot of access to recruiters and companies for now, for future? If you have to switch a career, look for something or whatever, what would you first resort to? The Ivy network? Or how does that look like?
Yeah, your network literally starts the day you join Ivy. The 120 people in your batch you graduate with is your first reach out point, right? So,
Okay.
um, and there are lots of people from different countries and individuals with diverse backgrounds, 10 to 12 years of experience. People have already done their MBAs in India from IIM Calcutta, exchange students from ISB, people who are pursuing their JD, right, Juris Doctorate, law, and then also doing their MBA. And those perspectives actually blow your mind, right? So the quality and the diversity of the network that Ivy provides you uh, in Canada is amazing. Uh, so you would actually, the first thing you would do is you would reach out, you would try and find people, say in product management or in consulting and finance. Ivy is known for consulting and finance, right? So you try and reach out to people and talk to them, and if they don't have insights for you, they will make sure that they get you introduced with someone they know, right? So there is this feeling of connectedness, which is amazing, right? So one of the incidents which made me actually choose Ivy was when I started looking at the school. I started talking to various alums during my networking events, um, and I saw a similar theme across all these people, right? They spoke a similar way. They always had gratitude. They always said, Srijan, if you get selected at some point, pay it forward. Okay. That is all I want you to do. Pay it forward. Um, so, and and it keeps getting repeated over and over again in the classes, during your networking sessions, uh, and in your Ivy pledge in the end. So it all fits together, and then you are really motivated that if someone reaches out to me and wants to learn about Ivy, I want to give them a complete picture. Here is what you want to do. Here is what you need to prepare for. So that network has been amazing for me personally.
One thing that and how you're saying that you did a lot of experiments, and so what were the experiments again? I missed that. I missed that when you said,
Experiments around talking to people who were not from my target school, right? Experiments uh, around trying to learn about their culture and that small talk part, right? Like, what do you even talk about? Weather in India versus weather in Canada? No, you have to find a common interest, and generally is basketball or baseball or hockey, right? Uh, and I come from a country where cricket, you only understand cricket, nothing else, right? So how much should you know? What should you know about it? And then how do you get into that conversation and slowly, pivot and navigate through that conversation to get to the point, right? And you have to do that quickly. You can't keep dragging that conversation along for too long. So yeah.
why it was so easy to work with you, Srijan? Why it was so easy? And I'm saying easy because if somebody gives you something to do, if one explains you a task, and if you get the logic, you will take to to the other end of the earth, and you will finish it like people can't do it. And that's
Yeah,
why I remember getting mails from you saying, I've spoken with the adcoms here, adcoms there. I'm done. Now they're asking me to apply, and they're pushing me over, and I'm doing this. I said, what is he up to, man? I did not
yeah,
even I did not even remember that you can crack a school like this. Like, you can crack this school based on whatever we decided, and he's almost there. And then I said, you know what, let's go full on. I mean, he's really doing well. I, my confidence also gets positively impacted by how well people execute, Srijan. It's
Yeah,
like we are not magicians. We don't have an admit right there in the bag to hand it over, you know?
exactly, exactly. I I don't know. I don't know what drove me to that point, but I really wanted to to do an MBA. I really wanted. I had figured the reasons out, and I was like, yeah, these are my reasons. I have to do this. So networking for me was like, this might be the wrong thing to say, but I didn't really care about if I didn't get into the school, right?
Yeah.
It was about me building a relationship and learning from those experiences or that they went to. Oh, they went to Wharton. Awesome. What was it like? What was your day like? What did you? What does campus recruitment look like? Uh, how do you guys think about strategy? How do you guys do this and do that? So even after I got into Ivy and I posted on LinkedIn that, hey, MBA candidate Ivy, there were admissions directors from other schools sending me a personal message saying congratulations.
Wow.
Uh, then there were people from other schools who I spoke to even during my MBA that, hey, we do resume reviews this way in our school. How do you guys do resume reviews? Um, oh, how is it doing an MBA in Canada? I'm thinking about moving to Canada. So we always had common interests. So it really helped. It really helped, right? You should get over that fear of speaking to people. I mean, they're all experiments. You're never going to meet them personally ever, maybe,
Yeah.
right? So keep doing it, and you might feel comfortable at one point.
Wow. And can you talk about uh, life and careers in Canada? Like, how has the whole experience of
Mhm.
moving out from India, starting your life out there, how have you grown as a person in terms of your overall maturity in this transition, Trijan?
Mhm. Sure. In hindsight, it does really look like a great decision, right? It looks like a calculated decision that I took that, hey, okay, I'm not going to go to the US, I'm going to go to Canada, even though I had offers from the US people. Nobody could have thought how things would have turned out in the US. So there is some serendipity in that. Uh, but as a country, Canada has been really welcoming. The country is immigration friendly, so it does take a lot of pressure off of your shoulders when you're looking for opportunities, and you know that you can stay back here. You have a little more time, even though you've gone to a 1 year program. You have a 1 year you're going to have a 1 year work permit. Uh, but you know that you can easily apply for a PR and get a PR. So if you've actually narrowed down the fact that you want to do an MBA in Canada, do apply for your PR, right? Look at what your scores come out to be. If you're interested in MBB, a PR really helps, right? So McKinsey Bain BCG, you need a PR. If you're looking for a reduction in your tuition, you need a PR. So I didn't know all of these things. I did
Wow.
know about them. So, but I didn't really do it, and I think these things really help. The entire process has been immensely satisfying for me. I've learned so much, grown so much as an individual. There were times when you used to ask me questions, and even though I'm not an introvert, I would actually sit mum. I couldn't speak. Um, and now,
When
when
was
you
that,
actually
Srijan?
have, there have been situations, Jatin. Uh,
Okay.
but but here, after you have spoken to all these people who are in your class, you learn to voice your opinion. You learn to ask questions
Yeah.
and not feel shy about it. No question is a stupid question.
Yeah.
You learn that, and that's great.
Um, Mr. Bhattacharya, I can see a very
Hmm.
smart t-shirt that is not visible right now. I want you to do one squat. Show people. Thank you.
Yes.
That's Ivy Business School. Awesome t-shirt, man.
Thank you so much, Jatin. Thank you.
It was great having you here, Srijan. Thank you so much for taking time out, talking to people. We get lots of inquiries for Canada, for various schools in Canada, and I said, you know what, you'll be the perfect example of somebody that I've worked with who can actually tell people everything about whatever they need to understand about this transition. Thank you so
Mhm.
much, Rockstar.
Always ready to help, Jatin. Just, yeah, tell me whenever you need help. I'm ready to speak to people. Thank you.
Thank you.